Hello, welcome back to GameSpot's continuing coverage of E3 2013. Now, every year we have the Best of E3 award, and this year we've given it to a game that came out of nowhere and surprised a lot of people during the conferences earlier this week. That game is called The Division, and I'm very happy to be joined by Ryan and Nicholas from Massive Entertainment.
Hello.
How are you keeping?
Oh, okay. We're really happy with all the reception we got. It's just mind-blowing, but we're also really tired of all the noise and craziness that's going on here.
I'll keep this brief to the point, and I'll speak very loudly for you guys.
That's good.
Excellent,
Thanks.
excellent. Thank you.
Okay, so give the elevator pitch for this game. Nobody knew about it until a couple of days ago, and it's the type of experience that a lot of people are very excited about. So,
Yes.
what is...
Sure. So it's an online open-world RPG game with everything that entails, and it's set in a mid-crisis New York.
Cool. We're going to have a look at the trailer now in a second, so give people a look at it.
Sure.
So this is, I guess, an area that a lot of people thought games might go into. When games like Fallout 3 came out, when Far Cry 3 came out, the idea of open-world first-person shooters became very popular. And then people were thinking maybe some sort of natural extension of that would be having an online experience, a multiplayer experience, and perhaps a persistent experience.
Sure.
So is the world in the Division, is it a persistent world that you're logging into?
Well, yes and no. So it is a persistent world, but it's a persistent world for you. So what we really want to achieve is to have player impact on New York. So part of what you're doing throughout the game is reestablishing the infrastructure that's being torn down by the disease and what's happened when you start. So in order for that to work, you need to have impact on the world. So it's persistent for you, but if you and I group, and maybe we group with Cece, and he hasn't gone as far, or he's pursued a different area of New York, it'll pick the group leader's persistence. So it's always persistent for you, but it's not persistent out in the open world for the multitude.
Okay, you showed off some of the game, obviously at the press conference. You were controlling one person and there were a bunch of people playing alongside of you. How does that party system work? Is that the same as any other game where you've got a lobby, you get people in and then you're in?
No, actually, well, I mean, being a multiplayer game and wanting to push that to be the best experience for the game, matchmaking has to be top-notch, right? So it's seamless, it's painless. It also actually tries to put like-minded players together, people that like to do the same type of activities out in the world. But yeah, what you saw was an example of a group of 3 players, and then the companion, our cross-media device app, joined in the police fight. But a full group will be 4 players plus the companion drone, so 4-point tablet.
So how does it work then when you're sort of logging into it? Are you entering a server that has a cap of say 64 people? Or?
No, we are like a one shard or one realm, so to speak.
Okay.
So when you buy the game and you log into the game, you can play with everyone, and then you can just you have your friends list and everything. And we have social hubs. So when you go to social hub, there's a lot of people there. You can trade, you can do auction house, all those kind of things that you want to do. And you can just group up with friends there and go out seamlessly out into the world and just start exploring, having fun, enjoying the multiplayer experience together with others, or sign up with a matchmaking system. So there's no limitations. As soon as you bought the game, you can play with everyone else.
So if you're wandering around the streets, could you presumably, how do you deliver an experience where people are bumping into people like we had with the PvP situation?
Well, that's there's 2 things there. So, and you're wandering around the streets or you're exploring the open world, you won't see other players unless you invite them to your group or they're match made with you.
Okay.
And then they'll join your universe, basically. But there are areas that are completely persistent and completely open, player versus player, for instance. But we're not going into details yet. We just announced, and we have a long communication cycle to explain how that will work. But it is
seamless.
It's seamless, and it's a big part of the game. We're not separating it out to like a multiplayer maps or like a lot of other games in this genre do. It'll be part of the core experience for the Division.
So just to give it in simple terms, I actually enjoy having this conversation. It's not often that you have the game mechanics about games are so different and new that you have to explore them in such detail. So
hopefully
it's
hopefully this is making sense.
Could be. So I just got to give one example. For instance, so if you were wandering around the world on your own, you won't bump into other players.
No.
But if you're in a group situation, then there's a chance that PvP situations might happen. Is that correct?
At certain places.
Yeah.
In areas.
Certain areas.
Not randomly.
It's a dangerous New York. That's the world of the Division.
So would that be in a situation where two different parties are doing the same mission, and then it gets matched up that way?
Yeah, so we have certain areas that you can go into seamlessly, and those are PvP enabled, so to speak. And in there's lots of players and PvE and PvP content for you to explore. That's pretty much all we can say about it for now.
No problem.
Sorry. More than we can say about it for now. That's
all right.
I've dug in enough for now. We're going to show the gameplay that's been released as well. We can talk over that. So I want to ask you as well, is there an end game? Is this a single player experience that has a story end game, or can you continue with your character?
No, for the game it's super important for us to, everything we're designing, to have player retention and end game in mind. So you can play alone, but hopefully we have enough incentives for you to want to group up and play with others. So it's seemingly limitless. We don't have an end of the story per se.
Your character then you create at the start. I'm assuming that there are various characters because you're going to have millions of thousands. Exactly. You create your own. What's the setup for that? Is it just like a general character creation toolkit?
You can customize your character in any shape or form you want to, with face and clothing and all those kind of things. But we are actually a classless system.
Okay.
Basically, what we've realized was back in the day, in traditional RPG games, you make one of the most important decisions at the start of the game. Should I be a healer, support? And some people don't even know what that means. It's like, what am I choosing here? And then they play for 20 hours and realize it was not what they want to do. So we decided, okay, you're an agent, you get activated, you create the person how you want it to look, and then you go into the game and you start doing content, exploring, taking down some bad guys, and doing some missions, and you level up and you get some skill points, and you start investing them in the different things that you feel is cool for you. Then there's tons of different ways to customize your character with, what kind of weapons do I want, quicker reload, all those kind of things, and a lot of different abilities that you can buy. But one thing that's really interesting is that you can change this on the fly. So if, I'm playing on my own and you get online and we start playing together, and you say, I want to be a healer today. You just switch in your healer skills, and I can go, close range with my shotgun, and I do that load up. Then Ryan comes along, and you say, no, I want to be sniper now, and Ryan takes the healer role. So we can just switch on the fly very quickly and just take down the baddies, basically.
Awesome. We've got this incredible looking footage, which I remember the silence in the GameSpot war room when it came on. We were just kind of like, what the hell is this? You guys just talk about it. I want to get your feeling about what's here. Tell us stuff that's going on that we might necessarily see ourselves.
We kind of jumped in past the map, which is how content will work in the Division, where you saw a number of different areas that had different statuses, and the police station was going critical. So they weren't given a mission, they weren't fed a quest. They chose to go take this on because they saw it was close and it was something happening there. On the way, they come across actually some group content. But they decide, okay, we're gonna head on to the police station and see what's going on there. So there will be areas in the map that you'll see, but you can also come across dynamic content as you're out exploring as well. And this is a good example of what Cece was talking about before. We have 3-player group here. Megan has support skills loaded with the longer range weapon. Cece in this case has
a sick watch.
It's a good watch. The smart watch is pretty nice. He's going to go all damage because he doesn't need to worry about maintaining himself, right? And we have Bronson, who's kind of in the front, keeping the attention of the thugs as they come out of the station.
We're seeing a lot of technology here that's obviously past where we are currently. What time frame are we talking about here?
Well, it's near future, and it's also Clancy, right? One of the core pillars of Clancy games is pushing technology to the limit. So the Division agents have access to prototype technology.
Can I just say, when he closed the door,
hand on
when
the
he did the hand
door.
and closed the door, our boss, our video producer Chris Bowman, just went, "Did you just see that?" I'm like, he just closed the door with his hand.
It's so funny, you know, it's one of the most tweeted things about the Tom Clancy's Division right now.
Really?
Is, did you see he closed the car door? I think it's number 2nd of all tweets.
Excellent.
So we're going to make the game now all about closing doors.
Yeah,
Sounds good.
it's next gen.
It's not. Yeah, absolutely. Next gen is all about closing doors.
One thing that's interesting here that you can see now is that there is a drone flying in the air. It's going to come here in a second, and that's our companion gaming. So it's played on the tablet.
Back behind.
It says tablet as well. So when we started to do the game for the next generation consoles, we were really excited about companion gaming and want to do something really, truly next gen with it. So we decided, okay, what is the coolest thing you can do? Obviously, it's play with your friends live. So you can be on the bus or at work or whatever. As soon as you have an internet connection on your tablet or smartphone, you can log into the game and hook up with your friends. And so he's flying around here. He's debuffing enemies, marking targets, and he's buffing you, giving you plus damage, and can even heal and shoot enemies on his own. And all in real time together with the HD game, and it's really, really cool and exciting.
The voice chat that's happening, is this over a radio system in the game, or is it anything to do with distance-based?
It's players talking, so it's VoIP. So we want player communication to come across. It's also a way in a demo that you can talk about elements of the game that will be there, and you can get across how players talk, right? So it's VoIP.
And so in terms of this, like you said, this is a very organic way of receiving a mission, as it were. You're seeing here as well, information
the map,
being fed. How many of these missions, how are you delivering these missions to the player? Obviously, do you imagine this game to have a long lifespan? Are you going to keep delivering content into the world? Or is this the first in hopefully a line of box sequels?
So we have a dynamic event system or dynamic content system, which means that when you go out and play an area, it's never the same experience. So it's a different thing. We'll go critical. We also have smaller events that goes on. So you come around the corner, you see, a police car being attacked by vigilantes or something, and never been there before. So you can choose to interact with that, or you can choose to do something else. It's up to you. But it's very dynamic and very fluent content, and so every play session will be different for you, and that is really a really interesting way of
Yeah, and also in addition to that, we are building the game to be added to. We're not looking at it as Division 1, Division 2. We want this to be a continuing story and a continuing world.
Is that a sort of a staple of the next generation of consoles, do you think?
For us, I think players, I think, especially in this genre, they want big games, they want open world games, they want multiplayer to matter, and I think we're hitting all of that with the Division, and the way we're going to handle PvP, which we've touched on a little bit, I think is going to be our unique hook.
Yeah, and also invest a lot of time into this game. So
how long have you been working on it?
Roughly 1.5 years. But I meant as a gamer, you put in a lot of time into characters, so we think it's really important that you can continue building and growing and changing all those things.
Is there anything you can do in the game world that will affect your character from that point on? Is there any decision you can make or anything you can influence the world that will maybe close off a path for him or her in the future?
That's not something we're talking about yet.
Okay.
It's okay if you want to talk about it.
If you want us to
just tell me.
I mean, we basically already talked about it, the fact that it's your persistent world, and the reason we're making that choice is because we want choices you make in the world and the actions you take to be able to matter. So you can see by participating or not participating in the police station event,
of course,
it'll affect what happens. So yes, absolutely, choices you make will affect the world.
Is this the type of game you expect people to have multiple characters in, to maybe create one and then try again to see how things work out a different way, or?
In our game, they don't have to, since you can just spend all their time in one character and unlock everything and then choose what they want to have. But one thing they can change necessarily might be, we haven't talked about that even though, but how they look. They want to be a boy or a girl, whatever. And then you make re-roll a new character maybe. If you want to be a different gender or those kind of things.
But like you mentioned, we're making it as open as possible, so you can't make a mistake. You can always respect your talents, points that you spent. You can change on the fly. You can always acquire a different type of weapon if you like that play style. So there shouldn't be we will never force you to re-roll, as they say, but players might.
Cool. Ryan and Nicholas, lots of questions, lots of answers. I imagine there'll be many more questions over the coming months. But thank you very much for coming on the GameSpot show here.
Thank you for having us. Thank you.
Thank you. Not at all. GameSpot's worth mentioning as well. Best of E3 winner. Look at that. Bring that back to Malmo. Make it.
Thank you very much.
We got a couple of more games coming up on the show. Dean Hall has just come back from Mount Everest and he's going to show us DayZ. So stick around. We'll be back in 5 minutes.